Hello, and everybody roll initiative, because it is time for another Creature Synergy episode. I am Puddles, this is my channel, and today we got part 5 in our Creature Synergy combination, melding, all that jazz video. We have a nice combination today. It's a little bit lower CR than the other videos I've made. Good for the newer DMs, the lower players, and it's also not as deadly as some of the other ones, but it can be frustrating for your players. But it's a whole lot of fun. So let's jump into it, and first off, talk about these creatures. So I'm sure some of you are looking at these two creatures, and you instantly look at the Rust Monster and go, okay, here comes the cheese, because DMs love Rust Monsters, but players hate them. For certain reasons. For very specific reasons, actually. But I thought we'd start with the Blight, because it is also a very cool creature that can do some very cool abilities. So, CR half creature, not too strong. It has 12 AC, 26 hit points, and 10 movement speed. So it is not very fast. It has a decent amount of hit points, but it's not very easy to hit. The thing about these creatures that I think is the most important when you're running them by themselves or just in general is the false appearance. So while this creature is motionless, it is indistinguishable from a tangle of vines. Now, this is something that I think a lot of DMs sometimes mistake, or at least I know I've done this, where your players will roll perception and your creature will roll stealth, and your players will roll higher than your creature, and you will tell them that it's there. With this creature, you don't do that. So if this Blight rolls a 12 and your players roll a 15 on their perception, what you tell them is that they see a tangle of vines. You don't tell them you see the creature. That's what this false appearance is. And I myself have totally been like, oh, there's a Blight there, and then the range people kill it before anything happens. That's not how this creature works. Even if they see it, they only see that it's a tangle of vines. So that's important, because these creatures don't have much movement, so they sort of want to get their surprise round in first. Otherwise, they're pretty much useless. Ability-wise, they have a constrict attack, which is 10-foot range, does 2d6 bludgeoning damage. But the important thing about this attack is it grapples and also restrains. So a larger or smaller creature is grappled, and until the grapple ends, the target is restrained. And it can't constrict another player. Cool! So that's important, because that is the part that synergizes well with our Rust Monster. But we'll go into that later. They also have a entangling plants, where grasping roots and vines sprout in 15-foot radius centered on the Blight. So the area is difficult terrain to non-plant creatures. And each creature of the Blight's choice in that area must succeed a DC 12 strength saving throw or become restrained as well. So with this creature, you could technically restrain all of your players if they all fail their strength save. Or you could just get them to attack and, restrain a couple of them. So that's what the Blight does. They surprise your players, hopefully constrict one of them, maybe do their entangling stuff, and just restrain a whole bunch of people. They stop them from moving and stop them from being able to do certain things. Combine that with our Rust Monsters, which... Oh, I haven't linked that token. My bad. Here we go. Here we are. Okay, so Rust Monsters. Again, a CR half creature. It has 14 armor, 27 hit points. It has 40 movement speed, which is okay. The thing with Rust Monsters is they eat metal. They can sense iron, so any ferrous material within 30 feet, they can just sense. They have rust metal. Any non-magical weapon that attacks the Rust Monster just gets worse and worse. It rusts away. There's a permanent and cumulative -1 penalty to the damage rolls. So it just gets worse and worse. And if it gets to -5, the weapon is destroyed. So any players that attack this, their weapons are going to disappear and melt away. That's not the ability that I want to focus on, though. The one I want to focus on is the antennae. So the Rust Monster, it can't attack twice. It can either bite or use its antennae. And the antenna basically, it touches its antenna on metal and it corrodes and rusts. So the creature has to make a dexterity saving throw, and if they fail, there is a -1 to the AC of any armor or shields, and there is a chance that if it keeps happening, they will be destroyed. So that's pretty... It's pretty mean to like your high AC. If someone just spent 1,800 gold or whatever it is in the player's handbook on plate armor, they're gonna hate these guys. And you know, that's not your problem. You just throwing these creatures at your players. It's it's just gonna be fun but frustrating, right? And it's just synergizes so well. So, sorry, I'm rambling here a bit because I love it so much. The one thing before we go into our examples is restrained condition. What does that do? So, if we look here, the restrained condition, the creature speed becomes 0, so it can't move. Attack rolls against a creature have advantage. Okay, that's pretty good. And they have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. This is the big important part because the antenna attack, yep, didn't link that again. The antenna attack is a dexterity saving throw. So when the antenna attack happens, your players who are restrained will have disadvantage on the dexterity saving throw. And it's not a high DC. 11 isn't crazy high. So if they didn't have disadvantage, there's a very high chance that they would save against it. So the combination is basically your vines are there to grab your players, and then your rust monsters are going to come in and try eat all their armor off. I think it also works a little bit better narratively as well, because when I play or have played rust monsters in the past, it hasn't made sense to me that they would use their antennae in a fight because they are in danger. If they're 5 feet from a barbarian trying to eat his shield, the barbarian's swinging and attacking at them. Surely they would attack, like retaliate with their bite and try to kill it before they eat the armor. So I think with this, at least if the Vine Blight has restrained the creatures, they will think, oh, I can eat the armor of this creature while it's restrained. Makes more sense to me. But let's look into some examples. So, firstly, we have a level 2 encounter. This is a medium encounter. This is not deadly. Your players should not struggle with this fight. It should not be difficult. They should dispatch these creatures pretty handedly, but they might get -1 to their shield and their armor, or they might get -1 to a couple of weapons. It will have lasting effects on the party after the fact, even though the fight itself isn't that deadly. And that's the whole point of this combat encounter, is to drain your players' resources or make them weaker for future combats. In terms of narrative, I was going to do this in a David Attenborough accent, but I tried it, I practiced it, and it was very horrible, and I will not force you guys to listen to it. So I'm just going to read it out normally. The narrative, it's like, nature and stuff, symbiosis, creatures working together for common good. So like all symbiotic partnerships, this relationship is mutually beneficial. Waiting for unsuspecting prey, the Vine Blights capture its victims, and the Rust Monster comes in to aid its unlikely ally. In the aftermath, the corpses of the hapless prey are fed to the Vine Blights. They eat all of the nutrients and stuff like that, and the Rust Monsters get to eat the metals. Everybody wins. Truly adaptation in its finest form. So it makes total sense narratively as well that these two creatures would team up, or at least like be around each other. Like if a Rust Monster comes across a pile of dead corpses, but none of the armor has been eaten, they would do that and then stick around as the Vine Blights collect more people for them to kill. I also have a level 4 encounter here. Super simple, super easy. You have 4 Vine Blights and 4 Rust Monsters. Again, medium encounter. Your players should be able to deal with this pretty easily. There's no one that's going to die in this fight, but there's probably going to be some people who are going to be upset that their armor is eaten away. Yeah, but that's it. This is the encounter. This is everything that you need to eat away at your crazy 20 AC level 1 characters and make them hate you. But yeah, I joke about it being horrible and unfair and frustrating for your players, but it's there for you to use. I wouldn't suggest throwing rust monsters at your players every single encounter because then they will hate you. But yeah, it will inspire the fear of the rust monsters in your player, and that's what they're there for. They should shriek in fear every time they hear scrambling of insect-like creatures heading their way, because they're going to think that they're rust monsters, and then they're going to be scared for their expensive armor. But yeah, that's that video. I hope you guys have found it interesting and useful, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. Thanks for watching.